Materialize, Quicksilver Grail. Recollect, draw for turn. 1, 2, 3. Dungeon Guide. We'll banish 2. Silvie level 3. On enter, Spirit Fragment, draw a card. Storm Slime for free with Forest Cake. Storm Slime on the stack. Quicksilver Grail. Stone Scale Band. Stone Scale Bands on enter on the stack. Pay 1 until end of turn. I get fast activation. On enter, discard 2, draw 2. Storm Slimes on enter on the stack. Pay 1. Slime Eruption. Banishing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 slimes, 5 damage to you. Storm Slime's ability resolves, 10 damage to you. Storm Slime attacks, 6 damage to you. Dungeon Guide attacks, 1 damage to you. Pay 2. Storm Slime, 10 damage to you. Good game. Storm Slime. This card is phenomenal from the Tristan ReCollection deck. You're Silvie, but you're actually Rye. And people don't know what you're exactly playing because in the early games, with the new baby slime packages, it could be aggro. You have a lot of board control. You can fight for the board on the way up to level 3. This deck is crazy. So how did we get here? With the new package of the slimes, with the new Silvie level 3, with a crazy draw engine, and a combination of Storm Slime, Slime Eruption, and the Slime King, this gets us enough slimes in the banish to nuke for big damage while still punching face very hard. This deck is a build your own combo deck, and every game I played with it so far has been an absolute blast because every single game plays slightly differently. I've had to pull out and find a lethal line, and it's not the same every game. Unlike the Slice and Dice video, this deck needs a lot of thought put into it, or you just blow yourself up, or you miss lethal, or you just miscount. This deck makes you think. Let's get into the deck build. So starting us off, we have the Fragmented Spirit of Fire. I run this spirit over the regular spirit because I like having the glimpse, and for those of you that don't know, a regular Spirit of Fire draws us 7 cards, but this one draws us 6 instead. The trade-off is that we instead get to glimpse 6 first, which lets us control our hand a bit, and we get a Spirit Fragment, which allows us to draw a card at level 3, making up for the lost card. In a deck like this, with going to level 3, it is very important that you hit your early cards to get your engine going in order to have a smooth transition into level 3. If you can't get to level 3 smoothly, you lose the game. Now, I have played this deck with the regular Spirit of Fire, and it works pretty well, but I'm not very lucky as a player, so I like having the extra glimpse to reduce my chances of bricking. Fun fact, I only run 10 Advanced Element Slimes in this deck, and I've had a game very recently where I saw a total of 9 through my glimpse in the opening hand. That did not feel good. Moving on to the champion, we only have one Silvie. Level 1, we have a Silvie level 2. I don't prioritize getting the level up on this Silvie to get me both the animal and the beast for the double draw. Instead, I'm happy if I get one draw and I prioritize banishing slimes and leveling up smoothly. Level 3 has to be the Slime Sovereign for this deck because the level 3 ability says ignore elemental requirements for advanced element slimes that I activate. Without that, this deck just does not work. Moving on, I run a backup charger as an unconditional draw. There are 0 automatons in this deck. You're not going to use the power cell. I don't even bother pulling out the token, though you probably should, just for proper play. I will get back to the Divine Relic in a moment, because it is the Quicksilver Grail, but I would like to explain why this relic is so important in this deck. Starting this off, I run a very greedy lineup with 1, 2, 3, 4 core Terra cards in the material deck. And the reason for this is all of these cards, Stone Scale Band, Verdant Scepter, excuse the lighting, Horn of Beast Calling, and Gaia's Blessing are all fantastic cards to have, with the first 3 being amazing targets for the Quicksilver Grail. Quicksilver Grilling a Stone Scale Van allows you to cheat out fast activation without your opponent realizing what it is, as well as letting you discard ally cards from your memory to draw that many cards whenever you want. Fantastic for popping off combos. Verdant Scepter allows you to actively banish your own Slime King to get tokens and get all the slimes under it back whenever you want, continuing to combo. Horn of Beast Calling is just nice if you're baiting things out or if you are very, very low, and it allows you to do more controlled banishes. Gaia's Blessing, you never Quicksilver and you never hardcast. The reason for this card in a Storm deck is to banish 4 animal and or beast allies. You banish 4 slimes, that's 4 damage. I would play this card without the second 2 effects, but playing with your top card for extra draw, a fake draw essentially, is fantastic. So that is the reason Quicksilver Grail is in this deck. Now, for my tech cards, these 2 are the ones I will swap out, along with maybe Horn of Beast Calling or Verdant Scepter, depending on the matchup. I run Covenant of Thorns main deck and Beast Soul Visage. It will depend on your local meta, what you run here, but I've been seeing a lot of Tristan and I've been seeing a lot of allies, so these are my 2 main deck ones. I have some answers to side in the sideboard. Your local meta will change things. Covenant of Thorns is insane for slimes, and Silvie in general. What you can do with this card is, on a Tristan Shadow, you have to put it on their Shadow, and they can't kill you unless they can kill their own Shadow through the 3 damage mitigation per hit, which means they need to do 7 in 1 hit, or multiple instances. You can put this on a Majestic Spirit, you can put this on any big dude, and it buys you a few turns. Beast Soul Visage, I don't see this card ran very often, but I really like this card, because in combination with some other cards in this deck, it makes for a really, really rude card. You can use it vanilla to just put it on a slime and do more damage, hit some nice numbers, because using a combination of Dungeon Guide and some other cards in this deck, you can cheat out your levels, meaning you get extra materializes early. One of the things I really like doing with this is I like putting it on red slime and then cremating it. Hits better numbers, so I can control my board wipe better. My board wipe can be 3 damage, 5 damage, 7 damage. It's pretty good. Moving on to the main board, instead of going through the cards by element, I'm going to go over the cards by category, and let's see if this format works for you guys. Let me know in the comments below. This deck is very simple. I am running only 2 types of cards. I'm running the core components of the deck, which are the slimes, which enable your combo, and the other half of the deck is all draws. You might have gotten from the last video, I really like drawing cards. Let's start with the slimes. For the core slime package, Baby Gray is a fantastic opener, so I run 4 of these, non-negotiable. I would argue that none of these slimes, with one exception, is negotiable. Baby Gray lets you draw a card, it lets you intercept, it's a better library witch. Next, Limitless Slime, 4 of, truly limitless, one of the few floating memory in this deck, as I will go through synergies in the next section, but having the floating memory is a slime and lets you clear board, is an imminent threat if not answered. There's so many things you can do with Limitless Slime. Next, I run Hasty Slime, Baby Red Slime. This is a better Hasty Messenger, lets you cycle slimes into your graveyard faster, gets rid of unwanted draw cards. Situationally, you don't always want to pop every draw card in this deck. It also lets you hit easy 3 to 4 attack power numbers to trade into and clear allies 1 for 1. Fantastic. In this deck, it's okay for your slimes to die. You want them in your graveyard so that you can combo them off with Storm. Your goal right now is to just live until level 3. Next up, I run 4 Red Slime. Red Slime is fantastic because in the draw engine, we run Cremation Ritual. You can play the Red Slime, and it enters with a buff at level 1 with Silvie. You have 4 damage to the board. What are they going to do? They're going to play more allies? Do you have a Cremation? Do you have an Ember Song? They don't know, right? Are they going to kill it to mitigate the damage and then kill their own allies? Fantastic. This slime is great in this deck. Next, we run 4 of Slime Eruption. Slime Eruption is really funny. It lets us banish 2 non-fire element slimes and any number of fire element slimes, which we have 8 of here. And this allows us to do 1 damage at a time, split among targets we choose. This is great because we can use part of the damage to kill our own slimes for even more value and have the rest go to face. This deck is truly a build your own combo deck. Every single game, I win slightly differently with this deck. Finally, your main win condition, is going to be 4 Storm Slimes. On enter, this will take every slime in your banishment and deal that much damage. Combined with the Silvie level 3 and a baseline of 3 attack, this hits very, very hard. You can get through this deck if they safeguard, if they tariff. There's many different ways around damage. You can do this through attacking face, you clear board, but most of the time you just want to blow them up. I run 3 Slime Kings. The 3 Slime Kings don't often come into play here. I like banishing these early. If I need to, I'll toss them for cost. I'm not afraid to do that. They are here to cycle Storm Slimes. They are here to delay allies if I get a really bad hand. And they count towards the 3 banish for Storm Slime. Absolutely fantastic. I run 3 Ethereal Slimes. This card is effectively an additional draw slime, while also being able to clear stealth. I don't care too much about clearing stealth. I tend to just blow people up with the storm. But having the additional draw and having an additional element for Storm Slime is fantastic. This right here is the flex spot. In the sideboard, I have a few other tech slimes, and this is the slime we swapped them out for. And finally, even though not a slime, this is considered a core card in this deck, I run 4 Dungeon Guides. I think a lot of people who have played the game for a while know what this card does, but it lets us cheat out a level by banishing 2 cards at random. This card is extra nice because if you get multiple copies in this deck, you can pull out a different material, go all in, not worry about banishing the things you don't want to, and then do controlled banishes similar to a Rye deck. Next up we have the draw cards, and some of these are mandatory in my opinion, but some of these are flex depending on your playstyle and your comfort level with the deck and being able to switch out your playstyle on the fly. So season to taste, maybe you want to put some different cards down. So I have 4 Blissful Culling. This lets us search the top 5 cards for an animal or beast and put them into my hand, putting the rest in the bottom. This is used to get me a slime. Sometimes you'll miss, and it feels really bad. But in my opinion, if you miss, that means that the top 5 cards of your deck weren't that useful to begin with. So you were probably going to lose anyways because you weren't finding your slimes. So might as well put them on the bottom. It's still kind of worth. I run 4 Forest Cakes to draw cards early and to modify damage numbers on things like Red Slime, things like Baby Red, things like Limitless, making some things easier to kill, some things harder to kill, and using these as utility to help me clear their board early game or apply pressure. A tech card in this deck that I personally really like is 4 Escape the Wreckage. This card has a lot of utility in this deck because it can bring back a lot of your on-enter slimes for a second use, as well as activate your king, and even get your Dungeon Guide back, so you can do Dungeon Guide level 2, Dungeon Guide level 3 off 1 Dungeon Guide. This card lets you break even by drawing a card back into your memory, which is always good, and it's just a bit underplayed, but I think more and more people are starting to use it. Actual draw spells! 4 Creative Shocks. This card is the best card in Fire. Draw 2, discard 1, discard a slime, discard a floating memory. The only floating memory in this deck are slimes. I really, really want to do controlled banishes, so I don't actually run a lot of floating memory. If you are not comfortable with having very low floating memory and banishing your cards to go very low, I would suggest taking out some of the weaker draws or riskier draws, like the Forest Cake or an Increasing Danger, which I will show you shortly, to run a bit more floating memory, such as something like Young Beast Spawner. I run 4 Cremation Ritual. This is both a draw spell and your board wipe. Using this on Red Slime on command is absolutely phenomenal. This allows you to clear a board and go even on cards. The quality of that cannot be understated in this deck. Finally, I run 2 very risky cards that change the way you play this deck, whether or not you draw them. And if you don't like that risk and you just want to play your deck one way up until level 3, I recommend swapping these cards out for other cards. Things like Ember Song, where you can zap your own Red Slime for even more damage. But right now, let's go with what I have. I am running 3 Gloamspire Black Market. Truly a Rye deck. At this point, if I see a Gloamspire, I know that I want to control my draws, control my banishes, and not go past 6 while trying to keep efficiency. The hard part about this card is knowing when to not use it. If you are fighting certain opponents and certain other decks, this card will straight up lose you the game. The next one that will also lose you the game if you use it wrong is Increasing Danger. I run 3 and 3 just as a nice even number because I don't always want to use Increasing Danger. Again, depends on the matchup. If you use Increasing Danger on something like Erupting, that loss is on you. The reason there's 3 is because I like doing 3 Gloamspire and I like not drawing a second Gloamspire, but you can tweak the numbers to taste. Alright, moving on to the sideboard. I am running 3 Twilight Slimes. These will be swapped in and out for the Crux Slimes, depending on what your matchup is, especially for matchups like Rye or Erupting. I like having the Twilight Slimes with the Spell Shroud, and I like putting a Stone Scale Band under my Twilight Slime to allow for fast activation Twilight without chance for too much interaction. Similarly, for Pesky Regalia, I like running 3 Verdant Slimes, also taking the place of the Crux Slime, and also putting a Stone Scale Band under the Quicksilver. I don't always do that. You have to mix it up to keep people on their toes, and sometimes you can just go aggro and kill them before then. Sometimes if you see Nullifying Lantern, you might want to consider blowing it up depending on the deck type that they're playing, because with a Nullifying Lantern out, you do not have 3 different element slimes, and you cannot play the Slime King. But sometimes you don't need to play the Slime King, and it's up to best judgment and playing the deck. Next is for long matches, I like running Tithe Proclamation. This is a combo deck, therefore you don't want to go long, but if you have to, you need to mitigate the amount of cards your opponents can draw. Similarly, I do not like the combo being interrupted, so I run Viridian Protective Trinket, and I want to make sure that I don't get Frostbinded on my kill turn. Last card is up to you. These are all tech cards, heavily dependent on your locals and your local meta or wherever you are taking this deck. But while I recommend either a Tariff Ring or a Safeguard Amulet, I'm personally running Beastbond Boots right now just because I think it's funny. For the next section, instead of just showing raw gameplay, I'm going to try something different, and I'm going to talk through common plays and different ways to pilot this deck. Alright, let's see an example game where I go second this time. Fragmented Fire, Spirit Fragment, Glimpse 6. I'm looking for a Dungeon Guide, which I've already found. A combination of some Baby Reds and Baby Grays. Unfortunately, no Baby Gray. And I would very much like a bunch of other slimes to play. In this hand, because I see an escape, I see the Dungeon Guide, I know I can cheat out level 2 and level 3, get some extra materializes. I'm inclined to keep the Ethereal. I would really like to see a different hand for the Storm, so I might consider tossing it back, but at this point, it is a slime that I can banish, so I'm not too torn about that. I will draw for my turn, and this is actually looking phenomenal. I will pay both Baby Reds and the Ethereal. Since I cannot use the Baby Red on turn 1, I will pay these for a Gloamspire. I will rest the Gloamspire to draw 1 into memory. It is not a slime, but that's 25% chance. Passing the turn, we'll go here. Let's say it banishes 1 of the 3. Boom. 1 slime down. Let's get Silvie level 1. On enter, we'll give things a buff. This wakes up. Less than 8. Recollect. Draw for turn. I could use a Dungeon Guide here, but I don't need to rush to 3 in this deck. So instead, what I'm going to do is, knowing that I can Dungeon Guide to 2 next turn, I am safe to put down my Storm Slimes to pay for the Baby Red. Baby Red will attack, dealing with the extra Silvie buff counter, pitching an Ethereal Slime to draw a card into memory. It's a Baby Gray. That's pretty good. At 6 cards, I can use Gloamspire, get my extra draw, Cremation Ritual, and pass my turn. There's no way a 2 health is staying on the board for an extra turn, so let's say that this dies, wake up, and now I have options. With 3 cards in hand, at the start of Recollection, after you've paid the upkeep, I can pay 3 down to banish the backup, draw a card into memory, and get that advantage. I don't use the Power Cell, so I don't even bother generating one, but you should probably do it for proper play. Recollect, draw for turn, and all of a sudden I am at 9 cards in my hand. Looking great. I want to save 3 for Escape the Wreckage, and I want to figure out how to banish 3. Unfortunately, I don't have too many other slimes in my hand, so I don't think I want to banish my storms, but I have the hand to do so. I'm going to pay 3. I'm going to Dungeon Guide. I am okay not getting the level 2 bonus here because my hand is so large. I will pay 2 of these. Did not hit a slime, unfortunately, even though I'm trying to control banish. And Silvie level 2. Without drawing a card, Gloamspire gets me to 7 influence. And I can pass my turn here. Somewhere in their turn, if they attempt to kill the Dungeon Guide, I can pay 3, escape the wreckage, get Dungeon Guide back, draw a card into memory, and go to my turn. At this point, Gloamspire will get blown up in the upkeep, but that's okay, it's already done its job. I'll grab a Quicksilver. Stone Scale Band is my default, though I do try to change things up to trick people. We'll pop the Gloamspire because I can no longer pay the upkeep cost of having less than 8 influence. Recollect, and draw for my turn. Look at this card advantage. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 cards in hand still. I had a second Dungeon Guide, so I didn't need to use Escape. I'll do 1, 2, 3. I'll Dungeon Guide to 3. Paying 2 of these. Ooh, 2 slimes this time. Pretty good. That's 3 damage that I have potentially. And I want to ideally get 2 more slimes in the discard. Grab Silvie level 3. And now things can start playing. I'll pop the Spirit Fragment to draw my card now. It is another slime. Phenomenal. What I can do is, if I can get 1 more slime and then pay costs, I can use the Stone Scale Band to put 2 more slimes in the discard so I can banish them. But how do I do that? I think what I'm going to do is I am going to play 1, 2. I will give up a Storm Slime. No. I'll play Red Slime face down, and I will play the Cremation face down for a Forest Cake to attempt to draw a card. I did not get it. That's okay. I will play Storm Slime for free, and with Storm Slime on the stack, I will pop my Stone Scale Band from the Quicksilver Grail, and on enter, it wants me to discard up to 3 ally cards from hand and or memory and draw that many cards. I have 2 allies in here, with one of them being a slime. We'll discard those 2 to draw 2 cards, and now I'm looking pretty solid. Storm Slime right here will resolve if I want it to, but before I do that, because of the hand I drew, I can now pay 1 Slime Eruption, banishing Red Slime, Baby Slime, and Ethereal to increase the slime count in here from 3 to 6. Slime Eruption will do 3 damage. Storm Slime will do 6 damage. Storm Slime will do an additional 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 if I had popped the Forest Cake. Dungeon Guide will do 1, and then I will pay 2 to play another Storm Slime, another 6, another 3. That is a total of 22 damage in 1 turn. If you got a bit of chip damage in early, or if they are not level 3, that's the game. And that's the build. I hope you guys really enjoyed that. This was an absolute blast to play at locals, and I really, really want to keep playing it more. In fact, I was tweaking the deck for so long. You guys saw, like, it took me an extra week to get this video out. I thought I was going to get it done in 1 week, but I just kept tweaking the deck, and I kept playing it at locals, and I just kept playing it with my friends, and this deck does not get old for me. That felt so good. I was not a Silvie player before. I am a Silvie player now. I'm going to continue doing other builds, and I'm going to look at other champions and all the different new cards. So I'll be shelving this build for now, but I really want to get back into this build later. For the next few videos, I'm planning on making a few guides for new players, how to play starter decks, how to do basic things, the phases of the game, because I just staffed at Offkai this last weekend, and it was very, very fun. The staff was very friendly, the attendees were very cool, and I am really happy to have taught so many new people the game. And with so many new people coming into the game, I think it would be a great place to show them how to use each starter deck and to go through how to play the absolute basics of the game. I'm going to continue to do deck profiles, but for the next few videos, my plan is to gear this more towards new people. I hope you guys stick around, and maybe you'll learn something about the starter decks, but if not, I hope to see you in the next deck profile. Like if you like the video, subscribe for more, and I'll see you guys next time. Have a wonderful day.